So heading into the first holiday season for the Switch 2, there are still a lot of questions that come up around the system with compatibility versus, say, the Switch 1. Backwards compatibility comes up a lot, but there's this term forward compatibility that's also coming up because there are a bunch of different kinds of Switch 2 cartridges right now. And I saw a lot of these questions being asked with a recent cross-generation release over this past week or so, and it kind of spurred on this video. So what I wanted to do was kind of discuss and explain some of the differences here when it comes to Switch 2 games working in a Switch 1. And while I'm sure there are many of you who are very plugged in watching this who probably know this, it's going to be more for the kind of the general audience that may be heading out, say, this holiday season, looking to buy gifts. So it could be a spouse or a brother or sister or a mom and dad or something, or a friend that may be going out even buying you something. Hopefully this is a way to at least give them some piece of information that, well, I worked retail for a while, that sometimes people don't even want to ask because they think it might be a dumb question. I'm here to at least fill in one of those gaps here. That's what we're going to do today. So if you guys enjoy the video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. I have to head over to the overhead camera with the table with all the different Switch 2 games and systems. So while I do that, we're going to go to a quick word from today's sponsor, that being Persona 3 Reload. Step into the world of Persona 3 Reload, the definitive reimagining of a game that shaped an entire genre. Experience modern-day Japan like never before, familiar on the surface, but filled with a mysterious unease that pulls you in deeper with every moment. You play as a student living an ordinary life, going to class, hanging out with friends, and exploring the city by day. But when the clock strikes midnight, everything changes. Welcome to the Dark Hour, a hidden slice of time between one day and the next, where shadows roam and the world turns surreal. Here, your persona awakens your inner power that can turn the tide of battle, strategize in turn-based combat, unleash flashy combo attacks, and fuse personas to build the ultimate team. Every decision matters, both in and out of battle, as the bonds you form during the day directly shape your strength at night. Persona 3 Reload captures everything that made the original a masterpiece and brings it to life with stunning visuals, modern controls, and re-recorded voice acting that pulls you right into its world. It's stylish, emotional, and unforgettable, whether you're a longtime fan or brand new to the series. Persona 3 Reload is available now on the Nintendo Switch 2. Click the link in the description to dive into the Dark Hour and see what fate has in store for you. All right, so in front of me, I have 3 different cases for the Switch 2 that you may see at retail when you're looking through the glass at a Walmart or Best Buy or GameStop, wherever, right? On the left side, we have a game key card, and then on the right side, we have a Switch 2, Switch 1 hybrid cartridge, is what I'll call it. And you can tell based on the front here with the different banners. Game key card, nothing, so just Switch 2 game. And then the banner here that says includes Nintendo Switch game and Nintendo Switch 2 Edition upgrade pack. It's all on the cartridge. If you get the Switch 1 version of, say, Pokemon Legends EA, you would have to then buy that additional upgrade pack, right? So that way Nintendo can have it all make sense, 60 versus 70. But you would have to buy it separately, and it wouldn't be on the cartridge itself. But because it's on this cartridge right here, the expansion, as well as the Switch 1 version, we can take a Switch 1 OLED like this and pop the game in like normal and have it come up just like that as a Switch 1 game. Conversely, if we take it and put it into a Switch 2, like this one, it will come up as a Switch 2 game. So I think it's a good strategy for Nintendo to do this, because let's say you're buying for the holidays, all right? And you're not sure if the person you're buying for has a Switch 1 or Switch 2, but you know they want Pokemon. Since there's always a chance they could, get a Switch 2 for the holidays or for the following year or something, or just throughout the generation, it makes sense then to get the Legends EA Switch 2 edition, because it'll work on their Switch 1 for now, and then when they get a Switch 2, it'll work there as well. And as I mentioned, you do have Switch 2 specific games that won't work on the Switch 1, along with Switch 2, Switch 1 hybrid cartridges. So you can see the difference here. Mario Kart World, no banner at the bottom. This only works on the Switch 2, despite them both having Switch 2 signage at the top. That can be kind of confusing if you're not really as, say, knowledgeable about this world. You're just buying gifting for the holidays. Keep in mind, it will tell you at the bottom here, these banners show up on every single one of these types of cartridges, and that includes even in different regions, because the Switch 2 is region free. Fantasy Life I is another example. This you can see at the bottom here, not in English, not in like the US region, but it will work on the Switch 1 if you pop it in there. As an example, you can see the Japanese region, Fantasy Life I, going in the US-based system, and it pops up just like that on the Switch 1. Now, the game key card, while it also has a banner on the front here, might be kind of confusing, again, for people who are maybe just doing some holiday shopping. Not the same as our banner here with the Switch 2 and Switch 1 edition or games being on the same cartridge. Game key card simply means there's nothing actually on the cartridge. It just triggers a download from the network to then gather all of the data, the game itself, and then load it onto the Switch 2 internal storage. All right, so this is still just a Switch 2 game. It's simply telling you you will need a network connection, at least for the first time, to download all of the data. So maybe something to also keep in mind for this one, you want to make sure you have a solid data connection when they open this for the first time, maybe we'll say Christmas morning, because, well, Street Fighter is quite large. I believe this one is like 50 gigabytes or something, so it's gonna be a bit of a download. Now, the reason Mario Kart World, as an example, does not have that game key card banner is because everything is on the cartridge, so you can just pop this in and start playing right out of the gate. Nintendo first-party games go this route, all right? So you don't necessarily have to worry if you get Mario Kart World or Donkey Kong Bonanza. It'll all be there. You also have some third parties like Cyberpunk 2077 that does the same thing, where they put it all on the cartridge, and you'll notice no banner down here for game key card. And then finally, if you just have the cartridge, there are codes on the front that will actually tell you how exactly they're compatible with, say, a Switch 1 or a Switch 2. And for example, you can see the little key up here. That's pretty obvious, game key card. However, we also have down here LP. LP does indeed stand for game key card, okay? So it's that, to me, is one of the more straightforward ones. However, you get down here and you have ZA and then you have Mario Kart World. Now, ZA itself does have the LN code. LN means cross-gen, okay? So if you see that, cross-gen. All right, and then the other code we have here, LB, that is Switch 2 native, so there is no Switch 1 version on this cartridge, okay? So it's Switch 2 only. All right. Now, there's a code for Switch 1 games, that's LA. However, I think that's pretty obvious when you look at it because it has no kind of branding for Switch 2 like this does, where you get a Switch 2 red cartridge, but it still works in the Switch 1. All right, so that I think is pretty obvious. Probably doesn't need to have any stuff written here, but if you want, you can just take a look at this now, and that'll be your little legend or your codes here for what works where. Hopefully this chicken scratch handwriting is clear enough for you guys, but I also understand many of you, this is pretty straightforward. You already know this. Trust me, I've gone through a lot of holidays where there were some pretty basic questions asked, and I think sometimes people go into stores and don't want to have to ask questions they think are dumb. This I just tried to make straightforward. Let's say if you have a spouse, a friend, a parent, or somebody you know is doing holiday shopping, hopefully this can help them out when they get to the register, so they know, for example, to buy, I think, a Switch 2 version of Pokemon Legends ZA, so that they can make sure that the person who has Switch 1 can play it, and that they upgrade to the Switch 2. They don't have to worry about some kind of upgrade path. Metroid Prime 4 should be the same thing as ZA, cross-gen, and you may as well buy the Switch 2 version, since down the line, throughout the generation, you may end up upgrading to the Switch 2, and I still think there's a lot of value in having not only the entire game, but also the enhancement on the cartridge outright and not having to rely on a server or something to deliver it, similar to the game key card technically. But let me know what you guys think about this one down below. If it was helpful for you at all, let me know down in the comments. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.